123 teams to go on my road to predict all 131 teams this college football offseason. We're doing the Arkansas Razorbacks now, and the Razorbacks are a team that surprised a lot of people last year, and Sam Pittman has this team climbing in a fantastic direction. But going into 2022, there's only one problem. The talent that is being lost from this team is crazy. There's a lot of very, very prominent names leaving this Arkansas football program. So can Sam Pittman keep this team moving in the right direction? Or will this team find that all the talent leaving from 2021 will have a bigger impact than expected in 2022? What's up, Tailgaters? My name is Tailgate Nate. Welcome to my channel, and I'm predicting all 131 teams this college football offseason, which means I'm predicting your favorite team. So when you want to know when that video gets uploaded, subscribe and ring the bell so you get notified. And this especially goes out to fans of Arkansas in this video, but in case you guys are fans of other teams that happen to want to watch this video, that watch my other videos, you guys are going to know a lot more about your favorite team than I will. So if you feel like I missed something, or you just want to add something to the video, leave it in the comment section down below. Myself and I think the viewers will appreciate that. So let's go ahead and get in to the 2022 Arkansas Razorbacks. We got to know what they did in 2021 first. They're the 6th ranked team in my SEC power rankings. They were 9-4 last year, 8-4 in the regular season, including a bowl win over the Penn State Nittany Lions. Sam Pittman has this team moving in a very, very good direction. And this was a pretty good offensive team last year. 441 yards per game, along with 441 yards per game, 31 points per game last year. Their defense was pretty electric at times, although their stat line is pretty solid. It ends up around the middle of the SEC, 371 yards per game, along with 24 points per game. That's allowed, but still some very solid numbers. This Arkansas Razorback team was a bottom feeder in the SEC for a couple of years, and now they're starting to get back. They're starting to get up there towards the top of the SEC, but there's still some work to do. Sam Pittman has still got some work to do for this team for sure, especially this year, because they're losing a whole lot of talent off this team. And let's go through some of the talent that they are losing. Traylon Smith was the 2nd leading rusher last year with almost 600 yards and 5 touchdowns. They're losing that production from the backfield. They're losing one of the most fun wide receivers I've ever watched in my 19 years on this earth, in my 19 years as a football fan. 1,104-yard receiver Treylon Burks also had 11 touchdowns last year. He is going to be a phenomenal talent in the NFL. They're also losing guys like Tyson Morris, Davion Warren as well as tight end Blake Kern, gone off the team also. Some guys gone off the defensive side. Guys like John Ridgway, also Grant Morgan and Hayden Henry, 2 100 total tacklers last year. Grant Morgan and Hayden Henry each had 100 tackles last year. Well, Grant Morgan had 101, but Hayden Henry had 100. They're going to lose that production. That's going to be very hard for them to get back. Also, guys like Montarik Brown, Joe Faucha, gone off this team as well. But there's a lot of talent still coming into this Arkansas Razorbacks team, including quarterback KJ Jefferson. Sorry, guys, my nose is, I'm a little stuffy right now. But KJ Jefferson coming back for the Arkansas Razorbacks. He was their leading passer and leading rusher last year. 2,600 yards, almost 2,700 yards, 21 touchdowns, 4 interceptions through the air, and on the ground, 664 yards and 6 touchdowns. So, KJ Jefferson, there's a couple questions for me personally coming into the season. Arkansas fans may have the same questions. Can he stay healthy this year, right? The health factor plays in. He was a little hobbled at times last year. Can he stay healthy for a full season this time around? And I think myself and a lot of other fans feel like KJ Jefferson can take a step up, right? Can take a step in that next direction. I think that's going to be key for the Arkansas Razorbacks this year. He's got a pretty good backfield behind him, though. Raheem Sanders, Dominique Johnson, 2 500-yard rushers last year, and 12 touchdowns combined between the two. And in turn, with returning Warren Thompson at the wide receiver position, KJ Jefferson's getting 2 huge transfers in Jaden Hazelwood from Oklahoma and Matt Landers from Toledo. So 2 key talents coming into this wide receiver room. On the defensive side, a lot of talent still coming back. Bumper Pool with 125 tackles last year coming back, as well as a guy like Drew Sanders coming over from Alabama. Jalen Catalong, Miles Slusher, Latavius Brinney, and Dwight McLaughlin highlight what still should be a ball-hawking secondary coming into next year, especially a guy with as high of as a grade of talent as Jalen Catalong. Okay, looking at the Arkansas Razorbacks schedule in 2022, it looks like this, and there are immediately some games that pop out into the schedule. This is not an easy schedule by any means. And let's take a look at their non-conference slate first. So, yeah, you got the home game against Missouri State. Okay, probably should be fine there. But home games against Cincinnati, Liberty, and on the road against BYU. I know Liberty is losing Malik Willis, but that still figures to be a fairly solid football team. But at home against Cincinnati, on the road against BYU, those are two teams that you could easily see in the top 25 next year. And Cincinnati made the college football playoff, the CFP, last year. Arkansas is getting tested this year for sure. They have a lot of tests on this schedule, especially that game on the road against BYU in non-conference. I think that's going to be a fun game to watch, and BYU figures to be a phenomenal football team coming into next year. In terms of the SEC slate, you got that neutral site game against Texas A&M, home games against South Carolina, Alabama, LSU, and Ole Miss, and road games, true road games, against Mississippi State, Auburn, and Missouri on Black Friday. So, little preview of the schedule. Again, Cincinnati made the college football playoff last year. Yes, they are not going to be good. They're not going to be as good of a team as they were last year, but don't sleep on this Cincinnati team because Cincinnati can still be dangerous. Under head coach Luke Fickell, you never know what Cincinnati's going to do. Watch out for that football team. The BYU game also really interests me because I think that is going to be a phenomenal game. I think that's going to be a phenomenal game. And Arkansas going on the road there to a tough environment to play a really good football team, they're going to be tested. They're going to be tested for sure. Whether or not they come out with a win in that one remains to be seen, but that's absolutely a possible loss there on the schedule for Arkansas. In terms of the SEC slate, you get games at home that you'd like to have at home. Games like South Carolina where you don't want to go on the road. Games against Ole Miss, what a classic shootout those two teams had last year. Surely going to be another fun one this year. And then the home game against LSU as well. That's key where you don't have to go on the road and play in Baton Rouge. But there are also some, of course, getting Alabama at home helps too, as little as it may. Of course, the neutral site game against Texas A&M, it's going to feel like a road game, though, but Arkansas fans travel pretty well as the game, I believe, is in Arlington. Games on the road, though, there are two tough ones here on the road, and it's in the middle. They're on the outside of that BYU game. They're on the road against Mississippi State, on the road against Auburn. That's a really hard three-game road stretch right there. Yeah, you have your bye week after that BYU game to prepare for Jordan Hare, but that's still three very, very tough road games back to back to back. But Arkansas does not have a true road game until that game against Mississippi State. So we'll see what happens with this Razorbacks team. I don't do game-by-game predictions like I did last year. I go through and have a percentage-based outlook to help me predict the team's record. So the game in red means you're probably not going to win the game. Games in orange, you're still probably not going to win, but it's college football. You could upset the team on the other side of the ball. Yellow, your 50-50 upset potential games. Yellow-green are games that you should probably win, but watch out for the team on the other side of the ball. And green, games you're going to win. The only game in true deep green is that game against Missouri State because there are no other gimmies on the schedule. Maybe the game against Liberty now that Malik Willis is gone, but I'd still watch out for that football team. Liberty is a tough coach team, and they should put up quite a decent fight against this Arkansas team, at least in my opinion. Of course, the game against Cincinnati. Already the favorite at home. No reason to really say otherwise. At home against South Carolina, there's another game in yellow-green. You got to watch out for the South Carolina team. And the South Carolina team is going to get tested early with this game against Arkansas and on the road and then at home against Georgia. So South Carolina going to be a tough team to play this year. But history has shown that Spencer Rattler usually starts off slow. So we'll see what happens with South Carolina this year. And then the Missouri game at the end of the year should probably be a win. The only reason it's in yellow-green is it is on the road. Arkansas, of course, much more talented than the Missouri Tigers. When you look at all the games in yellow, that's the rest of the games on the schedule. Back-to-back games against Texas A&M and Alabama, two of the better teams in the SEC. You get one on a neutral site and you get one at home. If you're Arkansas, you probably want to try to win one of those two games if possible, but that figures to be two very, very good football teams coming into next year. And then the home game against Ole Miss, what a classic, what a shootout that was last year, in which Ole Miss won 52-51. That was a phenomenal game to watch. One of the games of the year last year. And it could live up to that potential next year as well. There absolutely could be a shootout type game like we saw last year. I think it's going to be a phenomenal game to watch. Same with the game against LSU, although I do feel like Arkansas is a more talented team than LSU. Should have the edge there at home, but an interesting game nonetheless. It's that 3-game road stretch in the middle of the season that's going to define this Arkansas season on whether they go on the road and pick up a couple key wins. In my opinion, the easiest one, probably going on the road to play Auburn just because of the talent level. Going on the road to play Mississippi State. Fans in Starkville are looking for a big jump up in terms of what this team did last year. And on the road against BYU, look, that's just flat out not going to be an easy game to win at all. In fact, I'm kind of leaning BYU there in that game. They're one of the top teams in returning production. They got a lot coming back. I think this Arkansas team repeats what they do last year. They go 8-4. Winning one of those two games against Texas A&M, Alabama would be key. But I'm leaning the other way in both those games. Like I said, a loss on the road against BYU. Maybe you lose one of those two other road games there as well, or you lose one of those two games at home. But this is a very, very tough schedule for Arkansas to traverse. I don't see them going any worse than 7-5, though. I do think they're going to pick up a couple of wins that they, quote, shouldn't or probably won't be favored in. But Arkansas will at least make a bowl game in 2022. Although 10-2 could be the ceiling for this team. If Jaden Hazelwood, Matt Landers come in and prove to be really, really good, if KJ Jefferson can take that next step at the quarterback position, Arkansas can have a very special season under Sam Pittman. But guys, that's going to do it. Arkansas 8-4 in 2022. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Like, comment, subscribe, do anything like that. Remember to play hard but tailgate harder. I'll see all you guys in the next one. Goodbye.